David, wake up.
Every team knows we're trying to go to Jason and Jalen, and every team is programmed and studied to stop Jason and Jalen. I think everybody's scouting report is make those guys try to pass the ball. They don't want to pass the ball.
What's going on, people? I just want to give a breakdown on Marcus Smart's post-game interview, as well as why the Celtics are struggling mightily, after these 7 games into the season. Marcus Smart has never really pointed out names in a post-game interview. He might say some stuff, but never this detailed, calling out Jalen and Jason Tatum. So clearly something is going on behind the scenes. The organization really knows. But why they're struggling is, like I said in a previous video, Jalen is a good player, Jason's a good player, but they just don't pass the ball. And Marcus Smart is right. They just don't pass the ball. If they don't learn how to pass the ball, that team is going to continue to struggle. And there's a difference between just making the obvious pass and being a good passer. And these guys are just not making the obvious pass whatsoever, and making or taking really difficult shots. And there's 2 of that on the team, playing heavy minutes, taking a lot of shots. Really nobody's touching the ball, and it can be contagious when guys are able to touch the ball, especially every time down the floor. But that's not the case with the Boston Celtics. And Jalen, especially Jaylen Brown, he only sees him in the basket and nobody else. And it's really hurting the team. Sometimes you got to make the extra pass. Sometimes you got to make the hockey assist to get everybody involved. And that'll motivate them to play defense as well too, because they're a really good defensive team, got good individual players, but they're not even making stops as well, let alone scoring enough to put enough points on the board. Shooter's a good addition, but he's only averaging like 21 minutes per game. I think he should have a little bit more minutes, especially the caliber player that he is. That'll help control the offense and get guys involved and get guys to their spots instead of the balls in Brown or Jason's hand. Marcus Smart's not really a point guard, but he can play make, but he's not necessarily a point guard. He's more of a combo guard, right? It's really a good addition that they got Horford. And the last year Horford was on Boston, that was one of their best years, or even his times in Boston, those were Celtics' best years a couple years ago, because of how Horford, what he did defensively, how he orchestrated the offense when the ball was in his hand, how he led, behind the scenes, especially when Tatum was his first year, and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals against Cleveland, and they did very well against them. But taking it back, Brad Stevens, did a good job with them, but at some point it came to a halt. That's why he had to step away. Sometimes you just need a new voice, and they're winning games, going far, but they weren't going to win a championship with him because they kind of tuned him out. They were listening to him, but they weren't really listening to him, and they needed a new voice. That's why they got a new coach named Udoka. He's a good coach, been under Pop, for many years now. Played under Pop for a couple years as well too, so he knows what he's doing. But at the same time, still certain issues that are still coming up, and if it's not resolved, someone doesn't sit down, Jason and Jalen, and tell them it's a team game, then they're just going to continue to lose, because it's been the same thing over and over as you watch the games for the last 2 years. So, you know, something is not clicking. And, you know, sometimes when you got to be a superstar, sometimes you got to be selfish, but sometimes you got to know when to get everybody involved as well too. You know, I think the Kemba move was a good move. Just the simple fact that, you know, Kemba was not available every game, and you know, shooters are reliable in terms of being available all the time, you know, which can go a long way, especially down the stretch in the playoffs. And Kemba, you know, when he was healthy, he was a really good addition, but at some point it wasn't enough. You know, he just was not available. So, you know, I really commend that, you know, trading Kemba to New York and, you know, sending him back home. Maybe the waters down there might be a little different. And if they continue to lose, you know, somebody's going to get traded. It might be very difficult to trade Marcus Smart because he just signed the contract. You know, some people do dislike him in the organization, but, you know, he does say the truth, and he's hard on his guys, like he's hard on himself. But, you know, somebody's going to have to get traded. You know, it's going to be a surprise, or maybe they could pick up a free agent. But I think they have pieces, but they just got to bring it together. And, you know, sometimes it takes some time, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. All right. See you next time. Hopefully, you know, catch you guys later on another team, and, you know, breaking down some things, as well as you know, just talking to the Celtics publicists, and, you know, see I'll get the, you know, Chef Nick on the show as well. All right, guys. All right, peace.